absolutely amazing, but when I heard those two police officers talk, and I went to you, and apparently the police officer said, now most of you know I know dogs really well, the police officer told him that I tapped on the window of the canine unit. I wouldn't do it, the glass is this thin. I asked to meet with Chief Mike, and I also asked to meet with the officer to tell the officer that's a flat out lie. You turned me down, which is fine. I even met with John and he said, just let it go. But I can't let it go because I never had anyone to take it to. So, and a huge part of our expense is lawsuits. Another issue that I found out is with the rocks on the street, if a car parks too close to the street, the car gets the tickets, not the person having the rock. Kevin Brown was seriously injured. He almost died. The rocks were completely out to the street. I've asked about enforcing it. I've asked about Berry Lane. You want to talk about lawsuits, wait till you say, well, we've looked the other way, because I did meet with John and he said that's not a priority. But you're ticketing dogs off leash in the park, which is less likely to injure someone than a rock on the street. So I'm not understanding why with the public safety is our roads, like I stressed to you. And it would be very easy to go around and say, hey, you have rocks, take them out, you know, and send a overall letter. As far as I'm concerned, with as many times as I've screamed public safety, we shouldn't be insured anymore. And thank you, legal counsel, please listen to this. People have been injured on the rocks, and I don't think it's fair. If somebody puts out rocks and they have a party, everybody parks around their house. But if somebody parks, why are you ticketing the car versus the homeowner who's breaking the law every single day? And I'm just asking you, if you're going to make a rule, try to enforce it, and especially if it has to do with public safety, please, because we did have a citizen injured, and his helmet was cracked open. And I've had a friend injured on Berry Lane, and he didn't have medical insurance, and thank goodness his skull wasn't cracked.
Who's up next?
Colleen, on the trash, the SBWMA gave a design for the inserts, and the inserts are less than the standard. In fact, they indicated that you know that, and they indicated that for the 32-gallon bucket, it's about a 20-gallon insert. So, as we pointed out once before.
Okay, but for the 20-gallon, it only holds like maybe 10.
It's about a third less.
Yeah, and then when you knock it over and there's still trash in there, they won't come out and pick up your trash, so then you lose a trash bin. And that's not fair.
Okay. Any other public comments? If there are no other public comments, I will close the public comments session, and thank you all for being here. Next is a report out of the closed session. We didn't have a closed session, and therefore there is no report. City manager's report is in the packet, but John, do you want to add anything to the city manager's report?
No, Mr. Mayor, but I'm reminded that you still need to add the urgency item on, was added late. So you want to add that onto the agenda as well.
Which item is that? Yes, I got it. So there is another item added to the agenda where we need to take major action regarding award of the contract with the Atherton General Stabilization Slope Restoration. We'll discuss that.
Mr. Mayor, you need to take action now to decide whether or not it should be added, and then later on take action on the item itself, and it does require a 4/5 vote.
Okay, well, I will make a motion that we add this item to the agenda. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, then we will discuss it later. We now go to the consent calendar. There's no community organization roundtable report. And for the consent calendar, as many of you are aware, anybody, including a council member or any member of the public, can ask to take one of these agenda items out for later discussion. So I will, first of all, ask the council which items that they wish to take out, and I already have 21 and 22 I've been notified. Are there any others? I'll go first of all to And Elizabeth?
I just want to clarify, item number 27, that the deletion of additional $100,000 in the change of scope has been deleted. There was, is that right?
That is correct.
Yes, okay, but it's still in the agenda packet.
You want to take it out?
No, just to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, that's all, and I'm fine with everything else.
Okay, Bill?
I'd like to discuss 11. I'd like to make a comment on 15. And I would like to make a comment on 19 and very full 21.
21. Okay, I also would like to make a comment on 15. I don't know whether we need to pull it out or not. But I think I'll pull 15 out of it. I think it needs discussion. So, okay, can I, with Kathy, what would you like?
I don't need to pull anything. I've already discussed all of my changes with the town clerk and the appropriate parties, and the changes have already been made. Thank you.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the consent?
No,
Public, yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to ask a question on 13 and on 18
18,
and 13.
is it short, or do you want to pull it out?
Just, I think from, can I just ask you right now?
Mr. Mayor, anybody who wants to talk is going to need to come to the podium because that's being recorded. And otherwise, we don't have a record of the meeting.
So my question on 13 was just, in general, what is the town's goal right now with code enforcement? Is the goal to bring additional revenue in? Is the goal to try to standardize across the board? Or is this simply just to try to find a resource to do that job?
This item is only for parking citations, I believe. CSG.
It's the renewal of the contract on a month-to-month.
Sorry.
So it's just basically finding a resource. It's not, I was just curious whether you discussed what the role is of that.
Mr. Mayor, if you would like, it's just a continuation of the existing services month to month for code enforcement.
Okay, and then on 18, I was just curious again, is this a goal to try to bring in additional revenue through the parking citations?
Mr. Mayor, no, never. That's simply our processing for tickets.
Okay, thank you.
So, excuse me, what is that? I wanted to comment also on 13. Are we pulling it or not?
What
It's
number?
quick.
13 for
They're the
discussion.
same one.
So you want to take it out?
She wants to.
It's
First
okay.
one for
I
discussion.
could comment very quickly, or you can pull it out.
All right, go ahead and make a comment.
So, strictly since things are in flux and changing, just a little history, not everybody was here. When we hired the code enforcement guy, who people are pleased with, I have no opinion on that. It was because the police didn't want to do the job, and it was moved over to the building department because they had that nice reserve to pay for it, and it made all kinds of sense. Maybe you want to look at that again with your budget, depending on whether that reserve is going to go to the new company that you might outsource to. Maybe you should think about putting it back into the police budget, or asking them to do the job.
Yes.
I'm not sure of the protocol here. I would like to hear 14 and 16.
14,
14, I just have a question about it.
14 is just a continuation of the present Little League contract. It's now a one-year approval for the present Little League part.
And it has nothing to do
Nothing
with
to do
the
with the new,
proposal
no, nothing whatsoever.
change Hobart Park.
Nothing.
And regarding 16, My question is related to which part of the Public Works that refers to. If we're talking about taking out the entire department and outsourcing it, is that what that means?
No, this is just to approve one position.
One position.
John, do you want to?
This is a contract to provide interim public works director services on a month-to-month basis.
That's all.
When you say that you're pulling one of these numbers, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the protocol here. Does that mean it's not going to be discussed tonight at all? Or it is now open
If
for
you pull
discussion?
it, it's going to be discussed tonight. If you don't pull it, it's not going to be discussed. It's going to be part of the consent agenda, which we're going to approve with the exception of all the items that have been pulled.
Fine, thank you.
Any others?
I'd like to ask that you pull 13 for discussion later.
Okay, 13. All right, I'll put 13 in here. Okay, if there are no other comments, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda absent 11, 13, 15, 19, 21, 20, 21, and 22?
I so moved with the exception of 24, for which we need a roll call vote.
I had a comment on that.
19.
Just a comment.
Okay, all right, it's all.
I think we need a roll call vote for 24.
The second reading, I'm not sure. Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't hurt.
Do you want, I'll make a comment on 19 now,
Okay,
if that's okay, because I approve it moving forward, but my comment on that is that when I read the RFP, it seemed to imply that once we down select to a final architect, it was implied that there would be a contract pending, and I was 19, which is the architects for the new town center, and it's not clear to me that the council formally agreed to move forward with funding of that, and that actually discussions were that we were going to have potential private fundraising, and so I didn't know if we should make that clear when moving forward with it. Yes, if you would, please.
Go ahead. So the Atherton Task Force made it very clear in the selection process for these 3 volunteer pro bono architects at no cost at all to the town to do a conceptual design, site design, to then be presented to the town at large. This is a no fiscal impact at all to the town, and there's been no promise or implication of promise of future work for any of these architects. They're very aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Do we need a roll call vote on item 24? Can we do that right away?
You don't have to, but it doesn't hurt either.
Okay, can we have a roll call for item 24?
We'll just do a roll call for the whole consent calendar. How about that?
All right, okay, fine. In that case, can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Consent calendar.
Roll call. Go ahead.
Councilmember Lewis,
Aye.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
Councilmember McKeven,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitmer,
Aye.
Mayor Dottie.
Here.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, we now go to the agenda items. The regular agenda is was item number 31, that's been moved. Well, we can go over these at the beginning, or we can go over those at the end. So let's go over these at the end. 32 is a progress report on construction of 297 of units. Dennis, do you want to give us an update on that, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We've continued, as directed in January, to monitor the progress on 297 Bolinas. We've been very active with the surrounding community, trying to understand what the issues are and both help the owner of the property move forward, as well as helping to implement all the things that are required of the municipal code. Mr. Marshall is here this evening if you have any questions you'd like to direct towards him. To date, he's gotten a lot of the stuff that was interior to a point now where he's close to being finished, but we still have bathroom fixtures and tubs to be put in. Some of the kitchen cabinets are going in. Basically, the drywall's been completed, and most of the rooms not in the main hallway have been floored. So he's getting close. He's got some front doors on order and some side doors on order. He's been actively working on trying to get his landscape screening, which is a very important part of the project in the surrounding community. And today we received a revised plan. We're working with him to define what size plants we need and that kind of stuff. So we are making progress. I don't know that we're going to make it into June, but he continues to insist that we're going to get there, and I'm more than happy to have Mr. Marshall speak to the issue.
Well, I think the issue is mainly, are you going to finish by June the 30th?
Yes, we will.
So there was, at the previous meeting, there was some discussions from the neighbor. Can one, either Dennis or yourself, comment on how we resolve those issues? I don't see them here in the, oh, they are here.
Actually, Jeff and Yvonne Cunningham are in the audience.
Well, we had, initially when we submitted the project, there was a landscape screening plan that was submitted with the project. And on that plan, the very first step we made when we purchased the property, we started planting some sequoia redwood trees around the property. And part of it was joining our neighbors. We got some opposition from the neighbor from day one that they were too close to the fence line, which was simply a wire fence. And because we got that objection, we really did not attend to those trees, assuming that at some point there might be a serious objection and we would have to take those out. But the city arborist, when they approved the plan, assumed that those trees, by the time we finished with the project, would have been developed to provide the screening. And at the second look at it, she had mentioned that we probably need to add more screening. And we are in the process to revise the plan, and we added, in consulting with the arborist and city official, come up with the size of the trees, and we revised and submitted. And then the drainage, and so that pretty much handles all the screening we have been adding trees there, and we will be adding, once we get that plans approved, that the size of, I've been talking with the nursery today, we got some information what's available as far as the height that we can get. And to my surprise, realizing it is not an easy to go just to the, or to call the nursery and say, I want such a plant, English floral, this size, and they'll probably tell you, well, it's not available. But fortunately, we were able to locate them today, and based on the discussion I had with the city arborist, that's in their hand, and once they gave me a go-ahead, they can be delivered in 24 hours, and we will plant them. And then as far as I have been promised by the construction status, the major thing we're waiting right now is the front door that we have been promised that we would have it next week, and all the railing and everything associated with the back of the building has been installed, and we are actively working on getting all the fixtures installed. And I think we are very confident we will be calling for our final inspection before the end of the month, and then any type of a comment we get, we allow a couple of days in case the inspector finds things that we can do it. And I think we will be able to achieve that. And as far as the drainage, we have submitted another plans to the public work, and we're waiting for their lesson on that, so we will be complete.
So there, Dennis told me, I guess there's been a number of, couple things that have happened in the last couple of weeks with the workforce, et cetera. So even with those, you still feel confident in your deadlines?
Yes. I have even mentioned to Dennis, if I run into an issue with their front door that was promised to us. We will purchase new front door from a local supplier and put in, even if they may have to be a temporary door till our doors come in. But that's the only thing. The rest of the things are pretty much, you know.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
I'm encouraged to hear both your report and Dennis's report, because frankly, when I read the staff report, I was very disappointed. My impression was that, just reading the staff report, that there had been less cooperation from the homeowner, and I found that disconcerting. I think that you need to keep your foot to the pedal. And you know, I'm still kind of baffled about this screening thing, why it's the last minute type activity, but I think we've bent over backwards on this thing, and it's up to you now to produce and meet your deadline.
Well, as far as cooperation, we have been cooperating from day one with everybody, and all the staff can vouch to that, and there has not ever been a sense of not cooperating. So everything we do, we try to satisfy everybody, because this is our concern, and hopefully we will be able to get through this and we keep the pressure on.
Go ahead.
Dennis, is there going to be an irrigation system?
And we're going to require it as part of the landscape plan, yes. It may be temporary or permanent, we haven't yet decided. As I said, we just received a landscape plan today. There were actually, from the last meeting, my understanding was there were 3 issues. It was the site grading, the drainage, and then landscape screening. Those are the 3 issues that I took from the public comments in the last meeting. I've been working to pursue each of those with Mr. Marshall. He's gotten me the landscape plan. I think we're still going to discuss the size of the plants and that kind of stuff, but we believe it's going to be imperative that we have irrigation in order for the plants, at least in their youth, to properly plant and grow. So.
Well, yeah, I think that's my point. I mean, it says that they're not sure they can afford an irrigation system. There may be a drip system, but it doesn't say necessarily there will be. It says maybe you could put in a temporary drip system. But in any event, if you don't put in something, if we don't continue to have rain through the rest of June, July, and August, you're not going to have viable plant material, which has already apparently been the case, which brings us to where we are here. So that's the first issue that I think needs to be resolved before the end of the month. The second issue is the size of the plants. The size of the plants, and I know what the statute requires with regard to the 15-gallon. Given the fact that this is a project that was supposed to have had viable plants put in from day one and is not, what is the reasoning with regard to larger plants being put in place so that there's adequate screening now that we are so far along in the project?
And I agree with you. I think that's going to be something that Mr. Marshall and I are going to have to discuss with our town arborist and his landscape professionals to see what we can achieve. My goal is to get as much screening as possible. He just this week changed the plant palette on the back screening to include some English laurels, which will help a lot with the filling in. And so we're looking at that still. And I hope to have an answer, I'm hoping tomorrow or Monday, and we'll know where we're going with it. So I do have some comments back from my staff regarding the size of the plants, and I just got it about an hour ago, so I haven't had a chance to share that with Mr. Marshall, but I believe he's going to be willing to, I'm looking at it and saying we're going to put in some irrigation, make sure the plants have good sustainability.
Actually, today we did agree with the landscaper to start working on that, putting an irrigation system. So we will be putting it in and to start the trenching for some water in our irrigation.
And is the goal to at least make some attempt to screen it to the degree it would have been screened had the landscape work been done to the standard it should have been done at the time it should have been exactly done?
We're hoping for larger plants. We're going to have to see what's like Mr. Marshall says, what's available in the market, and also how it all plays out. But we're going to want to try to get the largest plants available that he can put on. But we're going to be asking for those things, and we'll be working with him. Our staff will be working with him to do that.
I imagine it's all pretty much a question of cost.
I believe you're right.
And then the final issue, which you enumerated and which I see, is the grade. Clearly, the original survey was done by an independent surveyor. And the final approval will have to have a second survey to verify elevations. Have we decided upon who that independent surveyor is?
That's actually something that the applicant will, he'll select his own independent surveyor. We're not going to specify who. Or what we are requiring is a post-construction survey so we can check to make sure that the final grades conform to the approved grading plan.
Isn't that a major issue, the elevation of that, the property? Because wasn't there fill put on that site, which is part of the problem that's being created with regard to people who are
Let
waving?
me correct that, there was not a fill material put on that site at all. What we did is when we excavated for the foundation, we kept part of the soil on site. It has not been brought in for the landscape bird. And there was not when we talk about fill, that means.
I'm talking about grades, in some
No, there
material.
was no change on the grade. Actually, I had mentioned, and before we started, we got our plans approved. All the elevations of the buildings were established through the building department, and the building official at the time has specified on the plans, which is already documented, what elevations should be as far as each building floor elevation. And then the only thing that is out there is part of the soil that we have excavated. We kept it as a landscape berm on the site. And that's really what it is. So, because when you have a hillside project or anything for that matter, when we talk about fill, that is a pretty scary thing because you bring the soil and then there's a hillside, there's an erosion, there's all that other thing associated with that. But in this case, we don't have any of that. And it's pretty much the state of landscaping that we can achieve some look.
So the elevation of the building has not changed at all?
No.
And so that is verified by an independent surveyor?
That will be verified post-construction, yes.
And it's a certified survey firm that has to be brought forward, right?
Yes, we are asking for a licensed land surveyor to perform the work.
And it's different from the person who did the original survey?
I'm not sure who did the original survey, but what we've asked for is an independent licensed land surveyor.
And would you require that it be a different firm from the first one?
Not necessarily. I mean, as long as they're professionally licensed, I don't know, to what degree we can specify, who we want to do it.
I thought we had specified at some point in our drainage criteria, so I'm asking. Okay, thank you.
I just want to say one thing. I think that in building homes of this size and scope, that we should all take a lesson that it's not an easy job to do. To try to do something like this ourselves and go through the process without, fully understanding the scope of the giant project that you're undertaking. And to get into a situation where, the landscaping is not put in correctly, I think that we need to be more diligent from our end as well as from the builder's end to make sure that all of those plants are put in early on, because that is the major part of our general plan and planning to landscape screens so that our large homes don't encroach visually into our neighbors. And I think that to the extent that you can really get your English laurel going, pittosporum, any kind of hedges to help mitigate the view from your neighbors will go a long way for making peace. And as Councilmember Carlson says, you just really need to keep your foot to the pedal, and I'm pulling for you. You've got less than 2 weeks, and hopefully you can get it done. I really hope you can.
Okay. Dennis, so the homeowner has committed to finish this by June the 30th. Looking to you to make sure that happens.
I understand, thank you.
Public comments?
To start out, before he even started building our house, he put up
start planting all these redwood trees. The redwood trees, I measured it, from the trunk of the tree was about 2.5 feet, some of them were 3 feet from the fence line. But we all know what redwood trees, what they do eventually. They get big. So I suggested to him, how about laurels? He told me it was none of my business and don't ever talk to him again. Well, that relationship went downhill. But I totally agree about the trees because, first of all, if they were alive from the day they put it in, they would have been big by now. But I felt that the city kind of fell on their feet and did not follow up when they came out to my property and realized all those trees were dead. Almost all of them were dead. Some of them are still alive, but pretty much going south. So I felt that the city, Duncan Jones, Kathy, should have followed up on that and kept him on his toes about the trees. But if you live next door to that man, he says he's followed all the rules. There are still people working after 5 o'clock. I call. Sometimes I don't call because it's a nuisance to the police department, but he has not followed the rules. He's just breaking the rules. He's just thumbing his nose up to the city of Atherton. He is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, I'm totally upset about this. I've lived with that for 4 years, going on 4 years. And I look at the backyard and he's got drains going every which direction. It's just, I don't know where these drains are going. They're going down the fence line, going out through the fence, 3 6-inch, 2 2-inch. They're just going everywhere. And they're all heading to my corner of my property. Somebody's got to be working on these drains. I mean, it's just, eventually it's going to be the same problem again. He should not have those drains going out to Alameda. He should be going into his tank, and it's not. And I had Dennis met with him one day. We were standing there, and all of a sudden, all this water comes gushing out of these pipes. Where is this water coming from? It's summer. I don't know where this water is coming from. And nobody has been able to answer that question. Where is this water continue to pour out? So for him to say that he's been following every rule in the book, I'm sorry, he has not. I mean, they're starting to put trees in back there, and there's no rhyme or reason. There is no grading, nothing. He's just blocking trees. You know, I don't know my time, but I think there's just somebody's got to be there every day to inspect that job.
Dennis, do you want to make any further comments on that?
You know, the issue here is that there's 3 specific things that I understand are the issue, and that is the grade, the drainage, and landscape screening. I'm working on the landscape screening. I have our public works director and his staff working on both the grade and the final resolution of that, as well as the drainage. And we're still waiting to have a completed, approved drainage plan before we can go out and inspect the drainage. So we're just trying to go, for myself, I'm working through the landscape part of it with my staff and with Mr. Marshallport. Mike and his team are working with the grade, the final definition grade, and then what the drainage system is going to look like, and then taking that and discovering if it is performing and installed the way it was designed.
So Mike, do you want to make any comment?
Well, we did go out and make an inspection of the site, and what we found was it was still under construction. And so, and also we did require a revision or a resubmittal of the drainage plans, because back in April, the town's public works staff made a number of comments, asked for additional information which we never received. He submitted an updated plan yesterday, and we're currently in the process of reviewing it to make sure that all of the previously requested information is in fact there. And once construction is complete, then the town staff will go out and do an inspection to make sure that the drainage system that is built conforms to the plans. And again, we're requiring a post-construction survey, topographic survey, to make sure that the final elevations conform to the approved grading plan.
Go ahead.
Mike, why are there open pipes headed in the direction of a neighbor's property?
What we saw, they were, it was basically trenches of pipes that were still under construction that was going parallel to the property line. So it wasn't, what I saw was not pointed, to the neighbors. It was basically, it was parallel to the property line as shown on the plans.
Oh, but you mean to tell me that the pipes that they just buried yesterday are approved?
We are not, on this type of private construction, town staff is not out there every day inspecting every single piece of work from a quality control standpoint. What our responsibility is at the end of construction, to go out and make an inspection to make sure that it conforms to the approved plan. And that's what we will do.
But isn't that too late?
Yeah, I mean, did they bury the pipes before you approved the plan?
Well, the pipes, they're going into somewhere, and so we'll still be able to take a look at the size of the pipe.
If they're buried, how do you?
Because they're outfalling somewhere. They're either going into a manhole or they're going into an on-site drainage catch basin.
Sounds to me like, at this late stage, we probably ought to know that kind of thing.
Here's my problem. There's an allegation on one property that there was a drainage system on the plans that later on they found had never been put in place. I know of another piece of property where there was a supposed drainage system that was covered up and supposedly put in, and I saw for myself in half an hour that I know wasn't there. I know it wasn't there. I actually observed it wasn't there. So how on earth, and I'm not saying that's the case here, but how on earth can we verify? You can have a pipe sticking out of a piece of property. Doesn't mean that 30 feet in, the pipe is there. And when you have something like this piece of property where we have issues, why on earth aren't we perhaps more diligent about doing our inspection, especially when the drainage plan has